Solitude creates the space for us to observe what's going on with us, find out what's important to us, what we dream of, and what we truly love. Being surrounded by nature is literally being surrounded by living things that were made by the voice of God. When you're alone, do you immediately go into loneliness, or are you comfortable with solitude? Hello. Okay. Good morning, y'all. I hope that you are having an amazing day. So as you can see, we're somewhere a little bit different. I am on the last day of my solo trip. This is my second solo trip. I'm in the U.S. Virgin Islands on St. Thomas. I've been staying in Frenchtown over this trip, and it was beautiful. There should be a vlog up by now or next week if you want to see more about my trip. But I just wanted to do a quick podcast episode before heading to the airport. The audio might be a little bit rough, but today we're going to be talking about solitude. I think solitude for me has been such a journey, and I think it's a word that is not used enough, and that's often confused with loneliness. So we're just going to go into it quickly, just hit on a few points before I head out to the airport. First, some definitions. So loneliness is the state of being alone and feeling sad about it, while solitude is essentially still the state of being alone, but not feeling sad about it. We all know you can be in a room full of people and still feel alone. But similarly, you can be in a room full of people who are nothing like you and not feel alone at all and still feel content in that situation. And so practicing solitude is learning to have that confidence even when you're alone, whether that's physically because you're by yourself or because mentally, spiritually, emotionally, you find yourself in a super different place than the people around you. So really, learning solitude goes far beyond learning to have the confidence to take yourself on a solo trip. That's not everyone's thing. That's not what solitude is all about. That is just the surface. There's a quote that I found on a research website, and it says, "Solitude creates the space for us to observe what's going on with us, find out what's important to us, what we dream of, and what we truly love." I really think that solitude, learning to be content when you're alone, it empowers us and empowers the individual to really be themselves. So that way, when you enter into a space with people who are different from you or who think different from you, it doesn't make you feel the need to adjust the foundation of who you are to be less alone. And as you go through life, it allows you to uphold your boundaries, uphold your standards in all areas of life, instead of feeling the need to kind of adjust them or settle in order to be less alone. So now we're just going to hit 3 simple ways that you can practice solitude starting today. So first, spend time alone, whether that's going on a solo trip like I did, going on a walk outside, spending some time alone in your room without stimulation of the TV or Spotify, taking yourself out for a meal. There are so many ways to spend time alone and just be comfortable when it's just you. Of course, don't put yourself into dangerous situations, but it's okay to take that time just to be by yourself and to practice being okay with that. I know some people can't even go grocery shopping by themselves. So, while it's great to have community and it's beautiful and it's something that we need, you also want to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. And practicing being alone is a great way to start doing that. Second, practice being the odd one out. Express your beliefs. Start easy with the friends that you have around you that you know are nice and aren't super judgmental, and start expressing your beliefs, things that might ruffle some feathers, and be okay with being different and practice that. So intentionally going out of your way. If you're a person of faith, sharing that faith with people around you, being bold in that, being bold and expressing opinions that might not be immediately palatable to the people around you, being bold about being the odd one out, and just having that confidence that way you don't feel the need to put your head down when someone better than you walks into the room, but you can stand on the things that make you different and the things that make you unique. And so that way, not only have you practiced that external solitude of learning to be alone, but also that internal solitude of learning that even if inwardly you're different or inwardly you're alone, you don't have to be lonely. And thirdly, which has kind of been the purpose of this trip for me, spend time alone with God and in nature. As a Christian, I know I have a personal relationship with God. This is where I get a lot of the principles and the foundations, literally the foundation of my life. And God reveals more specific aspects of my life over time as I spend that alone time praying, seeking Him, learning more about Him. Things just become clear, whether that's, through direct communication or whether it's just learning more principles of life that allow me to navigate situations better. But God kind of always brings clarity to things in my life, and spending that alone time with God is what allows the space for that to happen. So it's really important to take that alone time and direct it towards God, direct it towards Him, spend that time with Him. And with nature literally declares the glory of God. It was literally brought about by the voice of God. And there's just a different peace, a different calm, a different clarity about just being in nature and resting in nature, and just like there's just nothing like it. And I think that for a lot of us, especially, and I live in the city, I go to school in the city, and I do genuinely believe that not being in nature as much can be a stressor for us. We were literally made and put into a garden. God could have put us like city area of that time, but He didn't. He put us in the garden to tend to the garden. I think being surrounded by man-made things, is really cool because, you get to see how, we humans also create. But being surrounded by nature is literally being surrounded by living things that were made by the voice of God. And so, obviously it's beautiful, but even spiritually, I think that it's just, there's so much peace in being in nature. So now, of course, keep community. Make sure you're also learning to depend on others and that you have a strong circle around you. But I really hope that today's super short podcast episode kind of has given you some things to think back on, to reflect on. When you're alone, do you immediately go into loneliness, or are you comfortable with solitude? Ask yourself that question and take on those steps. Spend time alone. Practice being the odd one out, and spend time with God and spend time in the nature that He has created. Y'all, I hope that this episode was helpful for you. I hope that it was a blessing to you. And don't forget to check out my vlog of this solo travel trip to St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. It's a beautiful vlog. It was such an amazing trip. And I met some cool people as well. So make sure to check that out. And I have a flight to catch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are listening to this on YouTube. And I will see you next week. Stay blessed.